The ruling of the Court of Appeal on the lower court, as well as Justice Peter Lifo and his decision in the lower court yesterday or 2 days ago, has continued to generate ripples. And we're looking at that particular matter with Mr. Peter Ame, who is the acting national chairman of the CUPP. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Good morning. Pleasure to be with you.
Yes, I'm sure we're listening intently to some of the reasons why we have politicians in office, why we elect political actors to be able to attend to the needs and aspirations of people. But sometimes that gets lost, and we just thought we had to take that first before we take a look at the deregistration of political parties. I'm unsure how that ruling of the lordships at the Court of Appeal hit you yesterday when you heard that they decried or denounced the judicial rascality of a judge of the lower court. What were your thoughts as to, because we always hear political actors talk about how our judges need to sit up, the judicial system needs to give justice. Did you think that was justice?
It was justice. For me, I must commend the appeal court. It's not the first time. In 2020, the appeal court also stayed the deregistration of political party, and went ahead, to be able to. At the time, we had the INEC chairman who was very hostile to multi-party democracy. I remember I had a meeting with Yakubu then, and when he talked about the registration, we discussed and insisted he was going to deregister political parties. We went to court, at the Federal High Court, and there was a stay of execution. In spite of the stay of execution, he still went ahead to deregister the parties. Then when we got to appeal court, the Court of Appeal clearly said that what the commission did was very wrong, and that the party should be returned, without any delay. But the party went to, INEC went to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court further did the decision. Till today, that judgment has not been released to the public, because the court knows as soon as you stiffen political participation, as soon as you start to reduce the level of inclusive drive for political participation, you will create a system, a restrictive system that will not allow for proper engagement in the system. Because what do? You create the Section 225A was created under the leadership of Saraki, Bukola Saraki. We wrote to them. We met Ekweremadu, who was the chairman of the Constitutional Review Committee, several times. I'm telling him, this, whatever you are doing, we affect multiplicity of political party management system. And he felt that, they should go back to the days where there were two parties. I said, no, there's no democracy in the world that operates on two parties. In 2012, the INEC went ahead to deregister some parties, even while the IPAC chairman was selling on Shitu Mohammed. Some members went to court. The court reversed it. What we all eyes should be now is at the Supreme Court. Because I think the Supreme Court tends to want to favor political decision and without looking at the law. Because if you look at what we have today, if those parties are using ADC today, using NDC and other parties, if the court has not intervened and people who have promoted two-party system, they won't have same party to use today. So the decision of Justice Peter Lifo was it was a disrespect to the order of the Court of Appeal that said there should stay execution of any other action. Yeah, so
as we did highlight yesterday, and we'll continue to highlight, the decision of their lordships was not based on the matter itself, but based on the fact that the judge of a lower court went ahead to give judgment when the matter was before their lordships, which was him not respecting the hierarchy of courts. So that particular matter is still in contention as to when will INEC, or when can INEC exercise its powers as enshrined in the Constitution to deregister political parties, because I'm sure you will also agree that we cannot just have an endless multiplicity of political parties just because we can, and that it's not exactly while we want to encourage political participation to have so many political parties that now begin to confuse the voters rather than encourage them. It's certainly not helpful to our democracy.
I think I totally disagree with you. If you look at South Africa, you can get the number of political parties that are in South Africa. You can get the number of political parties that's even in America. Yes, you could have access to ballot in America, like for the presidential election, but that does not mean you should reduce the number of people who participate in the process. It's expanding this process.
So if we have 200 political parties and all of them
I'm getting to a point to you. If you look at Section 40,
paper.
What does Section 40 say? Yeah. It said that Nigerians, we have the right to participate, to belong to a trade union, an association or a political party that protect their interest. So party could be formed Parties should not be formed for purposes of, only trying to win the election. Parties should also be there to canvass opinion, to promote communal coexistence, to promote world peace, to promote
do they have to be political parties? Can they be NGOs
I need to tell you, no, the political party is different.
Yes.
Political parties are critical #1 stakeholder in the political process. You see us as civil society organizations.
Indeed.
And political party, you can have political activism even within political parties.
Yes, it's true. There's a point you just made now that political parties are not just there to win elective positions. But some people would disagree with that.
They canvass for votes. They will
exactly.
promote
It's a fundamental thing that differentiates them from being civil society. It is because
the winner takes it all, and you think that winning is the only reason why you can entrench democracy in Africa. No. I'm trying to get to a point. In Section 4040, I said that this Section 225A is inimical to free speech, to multi-party participation, and to democracy. No country in the world deregistered political party. It was only done in the military era. We are back to the military days. You don't deregister political party because people have a reason to belong to believe in a manifesto, a policy of a party that align with their interests.
Mr. Ahmed, can you honestly, you used to be in charge of IPAC.
Yes, I was 2-time secretary of IPAC, 2-time chairman of IPAC.
Can you honestly say to us here that there aren't people who open up political parties for the purpose of negotiations?
What negotiation? No.
There are people who who start political parties because someone wants them to divide votes somewhere.
No. I do not agree. I need to explain.
You don't think that happens at all?
You need to give me some time to explain this to you.
Explain
if you go to Section 223, there are procedures for political party management and how it is formed. That requirement is political party are only supposed to be able to give a mandate to an individual responsibility to join a political party. Political party does not take any naira from the government. They self-fund themselves. It's an entity that self-fund themselves, that self-operate, and with self-succession authority. So you cannot say that these parties are formed to divide vote. There are people who join the ruling party to undermine democracy. There are people who join opposition to do that. These are personal decisions. But for political party as an entity, we must know the purpose of which political party were allowed to be formed. If you continue to restrict and conscript the space, you will find out that you will leave the national chairman and national executive leaders of the party to people who have money. Today, there's more restriction for political party formation in Nigeria. With 50 million naira, you have to pay for you to register a political party.
It's still going on. A lot of your colleagues are opening up, doing all of these things just to raise money.
Today, a court party has an access. Today, NDC is there. Today, you have a process that even the APM is having governors. Today, you have a process where other parties that you could not hear, the SDP has a presidential candidate. Today, these are the reasons why parties are formed, so that people can align with those who can give them opportunity.
Do you think it is important for political parties to be viable? Because I remember when that case happened years ago. You were here.
I was really participating, and I was on this show.
I remember you were on this program as well. You were very upset when that happened. But the conversation at the time, and I think that's a conversation that's coming up right now again, the viability of a political party. Is this a real political party? And because of the proliferation and the abuse, hold on a sec, because the propensity for abuse, INEC, in their wisdom, came up with guidelines and so, okay, these are the criteria. If you don't meet this criteria, then you have to leave. We have to deregister you. You don't think that that is the right thing to do to create sanity in this political space?
Well, there's already sanity. Where is the inside? Where do you look? This provision was not even made by INEC. It wasn't proposed by INEC. It was proposed by those in power who felt irritated by the fact that people have a voice, that people have the opportunity to express themselves. I told you it was created under the leadership of Bukola Saraki. Electoral was the chairman of the review committee at the time, Constitutional Review Committee. We met with him. We discussed with him. They see party management and party managers as irritant, and that it should only be for the big ones, for the big boys. I am telling you that the more ADC, my friend Chivura Fokewosu has been my friend for over 20 years. We have been very close. It's like another brother to me. He formed that party for many years. Nobody, how many times did you hear of that party? Lekabejide came and won. It was a platform created for opportunity. And when the people now came and said they were joining, they had a platform. If you restrict it to two-party system and the government in power choke up one, where are you going to?
But that's the thing, you're doing that thing where it's either this or that. No, they're not trying to make it.
It's about choice.
No, INEC didn't say, no, we only want a two-party system. What you're saying is that the ones that are taking part in the process have to be viable.
But you are driving to that process. You are driving to that stage. If you continue to allow Section 258 to be the judgment for party existence, that you are driving to that point, because Section 258 is not the only requirement. When you are registering political party, they ask you, you must have a national headquarters in Abuja. You must have two-third office in two-thirds of the state.
Yes.
They have tried this several times.
25% of votes.
We are standing on these promises that what people like Fayemi did, people like Balala Musa did. We were young when we joined these people. We were young when we saw how they pushed for multi-party democracy. There was a time in this country where INEC wanted to charge citizens who are contesting the election to pay nomination form to them. It was people like Balarabe Musa and Fayemi that stood against those plans. Today we will not sit down here and also agree that the reason for party formation is about division. No, it's about promoting inclusive democracy. It's about allowing people to have a voice, people to have a choice, and people to have the opportunity to participate in whichever party that protects their interests. Because you don't have a system today where some parties will charge a humongous amount of money for members to contest. How do you expect the son of a man born in massacre to be part of this process? This is an opportunity. I was national chairman. I didn't have a godfather. I didn't have anybody. I became national chairman of IPAC. And I sat in the rooms where presidents sat. This is the opportunity that this multiplicity creates. And we must be able to respect it. It does not cost Nigerian government 1 naira or 10 naira. If no money comes from, and every of these party office, you must see a second.
I'm sure that there are those who will disagree with you because when you talk about how it does not cost, it does not cost the Nigerian government. It costs INEC.
No, it doesn't cost anything.
It costs them.
Can I tell you what it is?
Just a moment. It costs them the printing of ballot papers.
No, you are wrong.
You certainly will. It certainly will cost less to print one sheet.
It's one sheet that is printed.
That is this long.
No, I'm telling you.
That is as long as
your printing of ballot paper is based on numbers of registered voters. That is the truth.
No, just a moment.
That is the truth.
Yes,
it's not about numbers of political parties.
It is registered, it's the number of registered voters. That's the quantity you have to print.
Yes.
But it does not have to do with the, will I say, the length or I don't want to use the word quality because it's not the quality. But in terms, it also adds to the quantity.
So do we go to differentiate people,
just a moment,
citizens of this
country? It also adds to the bulkiness. So if INEC is saying, look, we need to sanitize, we need to find a way to streamline the process. Just a moment, Ms. because if you say that this thing can go on endlessly, it can go on, infinitely, we will create problems. You don't agree?
There won't be a problem. South Africa does not have a problem. What you should do is to try to create
they have very strict rules.
What every Nigerian should push for is that INEC should conduct free and credible elections. That is the responsibility of INEC to the Nigerian electorate. That is the responsibility of INEC to deepen democracy in Nigeria.
Yes.
People talk about parties not being known. In 2023, Peter Obi contested under Labour Party, unknown party. I was there before he came, and people voted. Nigerians are not that daft as where we are trying to define it. Nigerians are tech savvy. The youth population today constitutes majority of
Do you know how many Nigerians voted ZLP when they were looking for Labour Party?
Do you know how many Nigerians?
I'm asking you a question. Do you know how many Nigerians voted ZLP because they were looking for Labour Party and could not find it?
I've not seen any research that suggests that it could be an opinion by one or two
but have you seen that
people
don't get confused when they're looking at the names of the political
parties? Even if there are
parties.
two parties on the ballot, there are people who will still come there maybe disoriented, disengaged, and disillusioned to be able to make mistakes. It's allowed mistakes. The only problem you do not have a mistake in 2015 is when 2 million votes came from Kano. And they said there was no voice vote, there was no council vote. It happened in 2015. It was not because that. What we need is credible election, free and fair election, opportunity for everybody, create a level playing field for all political parties.
Don't you think that this is a little extreme? Yes, why I agree that, it is your duty to canvass for the multiplicity of parties, and it is actually in your interest to canvass that particular position. Don't you think that this is actually on the very extreme? It's another extreme to say, look, we want to deregister and have only 2. I agree, but there must be a middle ground somewhere where those on the very extreme who say there must be a freedom to associate as many times as we want to, as we can multiply it to infinity. There must be a middle ground at some point where we say, okay, look, there must be rules. If you don't meet this, maybe you will not qualify. If you don't meet that, maybe you will not qualify. Or, stringent rules must be in place.
If you allow me to explain, why I think that people are getting it wrong is that when you go to South Africa, you look at access to ballot.
South Africa is the only country
that's what I'm trying. America, there's access to ballot.
But even in South Africa, it's stricter.
If you allow me to get this point.
Go ahead.
Access to ballot in the sense that today we have 36 election conducted commissions. Election commissions. We have every state as an electoral commission. that is created by the Constitution and share the same authority. They are not an appendage to the National Electoral Commission. They are a commission on their own. If the 36 states are conducting credible elections with 774 local government and over 8,000 councillors, parties will win elections. They are doing coronation at that level. They announce the candidate of the government in power in the state. So we have a challenge. Nobody's talking about that. That's why you are seeing that there's so much concentration at the federal level for elections. And when you talk about the issue of federal elections, and you talk about political party participation, it is not as if people want to just come and participate. It is that sometimes there are rules and regulations within this power-breaking political party that disenfranchise many people. And if you now wake up and say, oh, let's leave these people and let them go, you are going to be creating problems because people don't have where to engage. People don't have where to express themselves. People don't have opportunity or platform to come to TV station and speak on behalf of their 5 supporters, their 100 supporters, or 1 million supporters. It is the winner takes it all syndrome that has driven Nigeria to this position of some parties are stronger, some parties are weaker. Okay, so by the creation of the Constitution, all parties are equal before the law. Yeah, but so far so good. I think yesterday we spoke with an analyst, Mr. Jide Odo, who made a very important point, which is the fact that, you know, as you've highlighted, that the focus oftentimes is always on the federal level, and that we need to look more at the local level, you know, looking at also local government elections. And it would seem that, according to him, that INEC is beginning to respect that and doesn't, you know, interfere until all of the local government elections have been conducted. Maybe that's when they can actually say, okay, this party did not qualify. So do you think that perhaps what we should be looking at is the threshold, you know, making sure that all of the elections are conducted before we can actually jump to any conclusion to say that this party is not exactly viable as a political party? For me, I think there should be access to ballot. That if the local government elections and councillorship elections are free and fair, those who win 5 councillors can move to local government. Those who move, if you don't win, you can remain at that level. I do not believe in deregistration. You can remain at that level and continue to participate at that level. Jide Ojo is part of the civil society group. There was a time when the National Assembly said they are going to be checking account of the civil society. There was protest everywhere. They didn't agree. They almost went gaga. If the political party goes through audit by INEC, they go through 2 stages of audit, internal and external. So and we accepted, and political parties have accepted, and they are doing that transparently. So, but civil society couldn't even bottle up and swallow that. So the issue we are saying here is that there's a challenge with our democratic participation.
I thought he was speaking for you.
No, it wasn't speaking because I've seen him in the past. He's my friend. When he talk about the parties are too, the electoral process is too weighty because they are multi-party, there are too many parties in the system. A lot of them said that, but because they have never been in the system, they have never participated in that arena, they do not understand the importance of creating choice, of making sure that people have opportunity to I've met people in this system. In the networking that it creates with multi-party democratic system you can't even define it. There are people that you see that are, you know, following governors today, that when they form their party, they look as the party is not going to survive, but the party has 2 governors. Okay. So we need to create that opportunity for children of the poor, for children of young people, of people who do not have godfathers, or people look at today. People contest election, their former governors, their son is going to be House of Rep. Their former their son. So when are you going to get opportunity if you don't create the multi-party democratic system and allow free and fair election to thrive? Our focus should be free, fair, and credible elections.
So just so we're clear, you want that part of the Constitution removed. You want it scrapped.
It is antithetical to the conduct of democratic
practice. Because you're standing against the undemocratic deregistration of political parties. That's my stand. And I saw the poem. You put Pastor Martin Nimola's poem up on social first they came.
We should not be speaking selectively.
So what you want the Nigerian people to rally behind you.
To rally behind the survival of their political party. It is for their own best interest, for the best interest of their children. Because if you continue to reduce and conscript the space in a way that is going and becomes two-party system, you will find out that they would give you criteria next time that if you have to be a national working committee of a political party, your father would have been a governor. Okay. So that's the way we're going to.
You're running for political office, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm running for Senate in Kogi East.
How's it going?
It will be left for our people. And
you've gotten the mandate.
Yes, I have.
You've gotten the ticket of your party.
Yes, I've gotten it.
So you're running for senator.
Yeah, I want to go and make laws, because some of these laws that have been made are made by people probably who did not pass through this process that we have passed through. Because what we want to do is to be able to speak for the people, create laws that will drive inclusivity, that will improve on our fiscal responsibility, and make sure that public money is meant for the masses. It is not meant to buy bogus, to spend on luxurious items that will favor only those in power.
Mm. Well, we'll see how because I mean, clearly you must have some confidence in INEC for you to be a part of this particular process. I do not know how your party was able to handle its own primaries without rancor. I don't know if you were also keenly observing what was happening within other political parties, and how do you think it's going to affect you or your chances?
I think there are challenges still within party, management, and there's still, if you look at some of the aspirants could be very desperate. Some of the party officials could also be very self-centered. But holistically speaking, the parties have managed very well their affairs based on the hasty nature of the primaries that that have come on board. Even the hasty way that people were asked to submit their electronic party register to INEC within the space of 1 month, and you see that every party, to all the 22 parties registered in Nigeria, met up that dynamic. So we should commend the political parties so far for what they've done. But for me, my center of everything is that I was happy that we have a professor right now, a law and an SCN, who had to request for stop execution of the illegal order granted by the Justice Peter Liviu at the Federal High Court. At the time of Yakubu, he went further to try to look for a way to make sure the party were deregistered, despite there was an existing law. So we must commend the INEC for the new way they are seeing that setting some of these judgments and others should be obeyed. But going forward, we need to have a system that is balanced, a system that accommodates all, and a system for INEC. I also believe in the unbundling of the commission. I think the commission is overburdened. I believed it from the time I read 2008. Justice Uwe Electoral Reform Panel report, 2011 Justice Limu Electoral Violence report, and all other reports, because in every country you go to, including Sierra Leone and other countries, you find out that you cannot have your commission perform so much tax. They are in charge of related offenses. There's no tribunal to handle that. They're in charge of delineation of constituencies. They are in charge of political party registration. They are in charge of political party regulation. They are in charge of elections. They are in charge of a lot of things. So if this independent National Electoral Commission, it should be meant only for that purpose only. Let them come, make arrangement for election. They will have enough time. Now, INEC is in a hurry to try to conduct an election. An election finished 3 years ago. So if its responsibility is to conduct the election, they would have been preparing ahead of this time. But because they are also bottled up with so many activities, so they always miss the goalposts when the time comes.
Just to also say that it's not every 3 years. I mean, on Saturday there will be elections in Ekiti, and we've been seeing the campaigns happening. So we also always have these off-cycle elections. How optimistic are you? Because this is going to also be an indicator as to how the 2027 elections will go. That given the process we've seen so far in Ekiti, we're actually up for free, fair, and credible elections in the state.
Election is not just a one-day affair. It's a pre, during, and post
That's why I asked you
election.
about the process.
So we have seen the process as it's going. I've watched the director of Yaga speak about the disillusion the citizens in the state face because of the harsh economic reality. We'll look at the voter turnout, because voter turnout is very, very important. If you can have a population of 1 million registered voters in Ekiti, for instance, and then you have 2% of that population come out, and then the person who is declared winner is rejoicing that he has won. That majority of people have rejected the process. So we need to continue to deepen the fact that we need to have more people participating in election, more people coming out to vote, so that the reduction in the increase in vote will show that people are really interested that democracy is thriving and delivering for the people.
I mean, I wanted to get him to talk about what's happening with the NDC, because that's your party, isn't it?
Yes, my party.
So it's still going on online, where there are supporters of presidential candidates, and then we have the party structure say, look, all of you have to be loyal to the party, and it does feel like there's a bit of problem between what the party is saying and then the supporters of your presidential candidates. Talk to us a little bit about that and how you feel about some of the issues that have come up, especially with the primaries. People have pointed to corrupt practices going on during the primaries of the NDC.
For me, I'm a living example. I did not pay beyond the nomination form. Nobody in the party pressed me to give extra money. I paid the nomination form as required, and I was given the ticket. I was elected at my primaries, and the party saw that. The party never went against my nomination because I didn't donate 100 million or 50 million to them. So the fact is that some people can go out of their way to donate to the party, and then if they don't get it, they come out to try to blackmail the party, which is not really good.
So you didn't donate any money?
No, I paid my dues, my membership dues. I'm a party man. I've been managing political party for years, so I know what to do. If the dues is 1,000, if it's 2,000, I'll pay the dues. And because if 1,000 members of the party pay their dues, there'll be enough money for the party to manage its affairs. So I paid my dues and I paid the required sum.
How much?
You know, for the form I think is 3 million, and I paid.
Okay.
You know, so for me, and with the membership, with those supporting Peter Obi, the presidential candidate, look, they are obedience. There are well-meaning Nigerians and there are patriots that are supporting him. There are three categories. People who want good for the country, and there are people who are ardent followers of the presidential candidate. I think the party should not even lose sleep about this, because the young people today do not really operate the way we operate and the way older people operate. What they want to do is to promote their candidate. But there's no competition between Peter and the NDC leadership, or the NDC as a political party. The political party supremacy should be upheld at all times, and people should respect the party. But these are people who subscribe to, become members of the party. They are members supporting Peter Obi who are not members of NDC. So it can't be an offense if they devote all their time to him. It's like a symbiotic relationship. If they are devoting their time to him, he's the presidential candidate, they are not going to vote Peter Obi on the ballot. They are going to vote the NDC president on the ballot. So if NDC is going to benefit from that process. So I don't think there's any heat that's supposed to come out of this. And I don't think that anybody should feel that Peter Obi should control his crowd. A man who has 6.1 million votes after the rigging, you are saying he should control 6.1. How is he going to reach them? People just really believe in his ideology, in the policy initiative that he has in his mind, and they are supporting him. He can't reach all of them. So if those who blame him for setting of this decision are just being uncharitable and being, how they call it, trying to be clever by half. The fact is that they are supporters of him who are not members of NDC, who are not members of the Obedient movement, neither are they members of the Kwankwasia movement. They are patriots, they are 1 million Nigerians. So what we should concentrate now is how we can drive our policy, our manifesto, our intention for the Nigerian people towards the heart of the people, so that when election comes, they will eventually vote for our candidate.
Well, we will certainly wish you all the very best as you head into the polls, into the general election. So we have to thank you very much for speaking with us this morning. Mr. Peter Ame is a member of the National Democratic Congress and also the acting national chairman of the CUPP. How is that even working? But we'll ask another day. Thank you so much for coming on Sunrise Daily.